Hello, this is Japanese Economic Review Channel. We've got some fresh data that just dropped from the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications, and today we're going to dive right into the latest household survey stats for November 2025.
Okay, so right off the bat, there's this big headline number staring us in the face, a 2.9% increase. And, on the surface, that sounds fantastic, right? But the real question is, what does that number actually represent? What's the story behind it?
So, let's do exactly that. Let's dig into this headline figure and really understand what's driving this positive growth. Okay, so this 2.9%, that's the real year-on-year jump in consumer spending for households of 2 or more people. And what's really significant here is that this is the first increase we've seen in 2 months. It's actually breaking a recent downward trend, which is, well, pretty interesting.
Now here's where things get really crucial for understanding the whole story. You've got 2 numbers to think about: nominal and real growth. The nominal figure, that's just the raw amount of yen people spent, was up a massive 6.3%. But, and this is the important part, once you adjust for inflation, to see what people's money actually buys them, that's when you get our headline figure of 2.9%. That gap between nominal and real, it tells us everything about purchasing power.
All right, so spending is up. That's clear. So the next big question is, what are people actually spending their money on?
Well, the data gives us a surprisingly clear answer. This increase wasn't spread evenly at all, not by a long shot. It turns out a few key categories were responsible for pretty much all of the growth. Just look at transportation and communication. It's doing all the heavy lifting here, completely dwarfing everything else.
And we're not talking about a small bump here. To put this in perspective, spending on transportation and communication shot up by a massive 20.4% in real terms compared to last year. A 20% increase. For such a big part of the average household's budget, that's just a huge, huge leap. But wait, here's the real kicker. If you dig just a tiny bit deeper into the data, you find something pretty wild. Remember that total 2.9% spending increase? Well, get this. A whopping 2.77 percentage points of that came from just one thing: automobile purchases. You heard that right. This whole positive story about consumer spending is almost entirely a story about a surge in people buying cars. Okay, so that covers the spending side of the equation. But to really get what's going on, you have to look at the other side of the ledger, what's happening with household income. And, well, this is where the picture starts to get a lot more complicated, and honestly, a little puzzling. You see, while spending was going up, fueled by all those car purchases, the trend for what people were actually earning was, well, it was going in the complete opposite direction.
For worker households, real income, and remember, that's the money you have left after inflation takes its chunk out, it actually decreased by 2.2%. And this isn't just a one-off thing, a blip on the radar. This is the second consecutive month that we've seen it fall.
So, this really presents a puzzle, doesn't it? How on earth are households managing to spend more when their real income is actually falling? It just doesn't seem to add up.
Okay, so let's try to make sense of this. We've got these 2 conflicting data points. What does it all mean when you put them together?
So, here are the key takeaways from all this. On one hand, you have household spending up by 2.9%, which is great. But we know that a massive surge in car purchases was basically the only reason for that. At the very same time, real income for workers actually fell by 2.2%. So the big picture is that spending and earning power are currently moving in completely opposite directions.
This whole situation, with spending and income moving in opposite directions, really raises a huge question, doesn't it? What does this mean for Japan's economic future? How sustainable is this consumer spending if people's real earning power keeps getting weaker? It's a real puzzle. Thank you for watching the Japanese Economic Review. We look forward to having you with us again.